For my scientist of choice for the biology role model project, I chose Dr. Indre Viskontas. She was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. She grew up as a second generation immigrant to Lithuanian parents, both of whom happened to be physicians. Viskontas has talked about the pressure from her parents to aim for a successful profession. Even as a young child, Viskontas indulged in the arts. She describes one of the defining moments of her adolescence being at the age of 11, when I performed as an altar boy in the opera Tosca. She earned a bachelor's degree in science from the University of Toronto, after which she continued on to pursue a PhD in cognitive neuroscience from the University of California, Los Angeles. Since high school, neuroscience and psychology had been a passion of Viscontas, yet that isn't to discredit the importance of music in her life. After completing her PhD, Viscontas returned to education once more and earned a master's in music from the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. Some of the notable achievements Viscontas have achieved include many prestigious awards as listed here. However, arguably some of the greatest contributions to the world come from her work as a scientific communicator. She spoke on many prestigious institutions such as TED Ed and the Oprah Winfrey Show. Just as all of us do, Viscontas has experienced her fair share of struggles, one of them being the aforementioned pressure she experienced from her parents. This is one of the factors that initially pushed Viscontas to explore things she might be passionate about in science. However, one of the largest changes in Viscontas' life was when she made the realization that her two greatest passions were entirely separate, all the way up until grad school, until her master's. Music and neuroscience remained completely separate. This realization brought Viscontas to examine the way in which music was taught. She made some observations that resulted in the conclusion that the way in which music taught is different than in the best way we learn. I feel that it would be a great understatement to say that Viscontas' music is a hobby, but when such a pivotal and imperative part of her life is music. She has held over 20 operatic roles: classical opera, 20 and 21st century opera, and operetta. She has also visited the Parque Nacional de Calanques, which I assume she means she likes travel. This is posted on her Instagram. Why do I admire her? I'm a musician myself. I am in the University of Minnesota Symphonic Band and Jazz Band. I'm also a second generation immigrant. My father is from Mexico, and I feel the same drive that Viscontas does. She is also a great role model as a woman in STEM. Some of her focuses include the arts and health. She has done some work on neurodegenerative diseases and how music therapy can aid in the healing of them. She also continues to teach music at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and explore the aiding of childhood development and music. However, likely the most relevant of these is the complex relationships between creativity and anxiety. This graph is pulled from a 2020 research paper in which Viscontas is credited, called Investigating Links Between Creativity, Anxiety, Creative Performance, and State-Level Anxiety and Effort During Creative Thinking. Long title. It is important to define some of these terms. All the definitions of the bottom terms can be seen on the left-hand side. However, let's go over what they actually are. The AUT, the test is to generate unique ideas. For this section, participants will be asked to list as many alternative uses for a brick as they can think of in 2 minutes. For the compound remote associates task, participants would be given stimulus words and told to generate a fourth word that would create a common phrase. For example, opera, hand, did. And the analogy finding matrix would, for an example, be kitten is to cat as puppy is to dog. And participants would be asked to select the correct analogies. However, some were given creative situations and some were not given any instructions. The results show associations between creative anxiety and the measures of creative performance. The major discoveries of Viscontas include the work on some of her major research papers, including the neural basis of memory and creativity. However, likely the most well-known is on her TED Ed talk, which has nearly 40,000 views, in which she discusses the correlation between the release of dopamine and what it means to be musical. She continues to teach and implement neuroscience into music education at the University of San Francisco Music Conservatory. I will leave you with a quote from Viscontas herself. Through science, we discover general principles that define our world. Through art, we discover how individuals' experiences illustrate what is universal. Answering life's big questions requires both viewpoints. What scientists and artists have in common is that they are observers in our society. Where science ends, art begins. Thank you.